So here's a statistic I learned when I read Why We Sleep, which I thought was so fascinating. Dr. Matthew Walker described that sleep deprivation increases a person's risk of either getting or dying from cardiovascular disease, you guys, by 45%. Okay? That is insane to me. So if that's not reason enough, if you want to avoid cardiovascular disease, you really want to focus on getting good quality sleep. If you've been having trouble with sleep, this episode is for you. I'm so excited to bring you this episode today in my pajamas, by the way, with my blue light blocking glasses on, because I really wanted to record this in real time to show you guys what I do with my sleep routine and to talk about the importance of sleep. This is such an important topic in the perimenopause and menopause time of life, but even if you're not in perimenopause or menopause, and even if you are not a woman, all of the tips I'm going to give you are going to be helpful too. So welcome back to the Energetically Efficient Show. I am Kristin Rowell. I'm coming at you, like I said, in my pajamas with my blue light blocking glasses on, and I have a treasure trove of things in front of me, in front of the screen that I will show you today, so that we are going to talk all about sleep. I really wanted to do this episode because several years ago, I want to say it was, should have looked up the date, but it might have been 2017, 2018, or 2019. It was whenever the book came out by Matthew Walker called Why We Sleep. And I read that book cover to cover. I was very excited about the content because I really wanted to understand more about sleep and how to optimize my sleep so I could get the best sleep. But I'm happy to report you guys that I have such good sleep most nights. And if I don't have good sleep one night, I can typically tell you exactly why that is. So I want to give you a bunch of my hacks that I use for sleep. I want to talk first about the structure of it. So stay tuned for this entire episode because I have so many tips and tools that you're going to want here. So let's really talk about why it is that we sleep. And this is all from this book, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, but I want to go through just what we're doing when we're sleeping so you can understand why it is so important. So the first thing that we're doing is we're sleeping because it's restoring us physically, physiologically, and emotionally. It's allowing us to clean up our body's systems. This is when we detox. We do a lot of detoxing when we sleep. We especially detox for our brain. While we're sleeping, we're repairing our tissues, including the body's brain tissues. This is what I was just mentioning. Sleep is very healing for our brain. This is why we really want to make sure we're focused on getting good quality sleep to ward off things like Alzheimer's and dementia. One of my favorite things that happens when we sleep is that muscle growth and muscle repair takes place. So I am obsessed with learning about how we can maintain all this awesome muscle tissue that we build through our strength training. And so I really, really want to encourage you to start focusing on getting better sleep because it's going to make your fat loss efforts easier. It's going to make your muscles grow bigger and your fat loss efforts easier. We're also going to restore certain hormones and molecules, including our neurotransmitter signaling during our sleep. So our serotonin, our dopamine, other neurotransmitters that we need for optimal function are going to get repaired while we sleep, as well as our oxytocin, our cortisol. All of the different hormones that we need to function in our body are going to be restored while we sleep. Sleeping also gives us the ability to focus, concentrate, and learn. It helps us to manage stress better. It gives us the ability to use coordination and balance during our physical activities. I don't know about you guys, but I always find it fascinating if I'm sleep deprived, how much more emotional I am. It's like, I don't usually consider myself like a high variable emotional person, but if I am sleep deprived, it is crazy how much easier I get stressed out, how much easier I feel emotional. It's just insane. And that also contributes to our nutritional foundations, including our microbiome. So our microbiome is supported while we sleep. And that's just another reason in terms of why you might want to consider getting really good sleep. So if I had to categorize for you the three most important things for good health, it would be number one, diet, nutrition. You know that I love that. It would be number two, exercise. And it would be number three, sleep. But honestly, I think I would put them in reverse order. I'd probably put sleep at the bottom of the pyramid because it's so foundational. And then I would probably put nutrition after that. And then I would probably put exercise on top. Even though most days for me, I would say between nutrition and exercise is a toss-up because they're both so incredibly valuable for your health. So here's a statistic I learned when I read Why We Sleep, which I thought was so fascinating. Dr. Matthew Walker described that sleep deprivation increases a person's risk of either getting or dying from cardiovascular disease, you guys, by 45%. Okay? That is insane to me. So if that's not reason enough, if you want to avoid cardiovascular disease, you really want to focus on getting good quality sleep. He also shares in the book that the idea of catching up on sleep is only minimally helpful, if at all. So damage from missed sleep in the moment is cumulative and can take years to repair. I was having a conversation the other day with a friend who was talking to me about by Friday, He feels like he builds up his sleep debt. He has a tremendous amount of sleep debt by Friday. And I said, I've lived many years like that. I try not to live like that anymore. I really try to catch up on my sleep during the week. I'm going to record this episode for you, and then I'm going to go right to sleep because I'm wearing my blue blocking glasses, which I wear after sundown. I'm already in my pajamas, and all I have left to do is to brush my teeth and take the girls out one last time, and then we'll just get right to bed. Okay, so I already mentioned that sleep is the foundation of really the good diet and the good exercise over that, because without good sleep, you actually are going to make different nutritional choices, and you're not going to be able to have the quality exercise that you would get if you were already sleeping. And I really, really like to talk about what the sleep's effect on hormones is here, because when I read this part of the book, I found this information so incredibly fascinating. And I'll get to what I mean by that in a second. It has to do with a very particular sleep hormone called Ghrelin, which I'll talk about in a second. But before we get to Ghrelin, let's talk about what sleep does for our cortisol. So cortisol, remember you guys, is our stress hormone. This is a hormone that is released from our adrenal glands, which are small little glands in the middle of our back that sit atop our kidneys. And so when we have higher cortisol levels, it's associated with insomnia and low REM sleep. Now, REM sleep is our rapid eye movement sleep. That's the sleep where you're having all those vivid dreams. And that sleep is very, very good for your brain. I always talk about how it's really important to get REM sleep for your brain, and it's important to get deep sleep for your body. And I should preview one of my most favorite sleep tools that I do not go a day without is to use my Oura Ring. Okay, so I have had an Oura Ring, I think now for 6 years, 7 years. This is like my 4th or 5th ring. I started with one color, I upgraded to a different color, I've upgraded to a different color since then. But I love the Oura Ring. I don't think, other than my continuous glucose monitor, which I always wear, I don't think there are any devices that are more valuable to me in terms of understanding the state of my health than my Oura Ring and my continuous glucose monitor. And this is the Stello. And I've done a different episode on that either has been released or will be released for you shortly. So the Oura Ring is so valuable because it's telling you what is your heart rate all of the time, including during sleep. What is your heart rate variability all the time, including during sleep? How much REM sleep did you get last night? How much deep sleep did you get last night? How many times did you wake up? There are other tracking devices. I know a lot of people really like the Whoop. Some people tell me they like the Apple Watch. There are other things like Garmin's and Fitbits and other things that may track your sleep. Here's why I will plug the Oura Ring all day long. To me, it is the most minimally invasive device. It is a small ring. And so it's not a chest strap. It's not a wristwatch. I don't like to have those kinds of things on me when I sleep. So this is why I plug the Oura Ring, because I think it's so fantastic for understanding your sleep. So back to hormones. So like I mentioned with the cortisol, if you have higher cortisol levels, you're going to have less REM sleep and you're going to have more insomnia. But let me talk about another hormone, which I just love, which is called Ghrelin. And Ghrelin, I always remember Ghrelin to be our hunger hormone. I want you to think of it as Ghrelin is like growling. Your stomach is growling. You're hungry. And increased Ghrelin levels are associated with less sleep. So this is hormones affecting the stomach. So this is my favorite fun fact that I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the book, but it might have been Dr. Walker talking about in a podcast later that I listened to him on after the book came out, after I'd already read the book. And he shared this story, which I thought was so illuminating in terms of how important sleep is for us. Okay, so when we don't get enough sleep, our Ghrelin hormone goes up. That means our stomach is growling more. It means the next day after we haven't slept enough, we are hungrier. We're going to eat more. And we're typically going to want to eat more carbohydrate, which I also think is very interesting. And he explained in this interview that I listened to him on why that is the case, okay? So I want you to remember, as humans, we are part of the animal kingdom. We are animals, okay? We are animals just like giraffes and elephants and zebras and dogs and cats and rabbits and all of the other things, as you know. So why is this important? It's important because humans are the only animals that would intentionally skimp on sleep. And just wait for it, because no other animal is going to intentionally skimp on sleep unless they are out hunting for food. This is biological. Do you think a bear is going to lay in the cave and be like, oh, I got to get up really early because I got to work on that PowerPoint presentation in the morning? Of course not. Do you think some sort of others, like, let's talk about a lion. Lions sleep constantly. Do you think they're going to be like, oh, I got to get up and I got to go to the gym and I got to work out at 5:30 in the morning? No, if they're tired, they're going to sleep. Humans are the only animal in the animal kingdom that intentionally misses sleep when we're tired. So that's important because just a second, Catchy. That's important because the only reason that we would be missing sleep as an animal is because we're out hunting for food. So our ghrelin levels biologically are going to go up when we are sleep deprived because biologically we are wired to be out hunting for food. So if getting more sleep, like if you don't have enough motivation to get more sleep after hearing that not only are you going to eat more the next day, but you're also going to eat more carbs, which are going to give you quick fuel to be out of the cave, hunting an animal to kill, to bring back to your family. Again, this is biological, guys. Think of caveman times. Our ghrelin levels go up when we don't have enough sleep. So get more sleep and you will eat less. It's just a fact. Okay, leptin is another hormone. Now, I always consider leptin as the opposite hormone of ghrelin. So ghrelin is our hormone that tells you you're hungry. Leptin is our hormone that tells us we're full. So when we have lower leptin levels, meaning we don't have enough leptin being produced to say, I'm full, stop eating. Or let's say we are experiencing some amount of leptin resistance, which can be caused by a variety of factors, including, just note, it can be caused by overfasting, of course, for too long, or being too stressed out, or being too food deprived for a long time. You can create some amount of leptin resistant. But lower leptin levels are associated with less sleep, and that can contribute to more fat tissue on your body, because you're not going to have that I'm full feeling. You're not going to have that satiation of I don't need to eat anymore because I'm full. And leptin is the hormone that tells us we're full. The interesting thing about leptin also, you guys, that I just love is that leptin is a hormone that was not discovered until the 1990s, which is crazy to me. So we're just on the precipice of learning more and more about leptin. I have this amazing book that I read some time ago that I actually need to read again as it relates to some research that I'm doing for a course coming up. But I really, really love the topic of leptin because leptin resistance is a real thing. And there are ways that you can mitigate it and certainly ways you can overcome it, which is just super fun. So all I want you to know in this episode of the podcast is that leptin is a hormone that tells us that we're full, and we want to make sure that that hormone is produced naturally and that we produce enough of it, which will come from getting good sleep. Okay, 2 more hormones to talk about in this hormonal milieu that I'm referring to here. And one is cytokines. Cytokines are a hormone that modulate immune function. Most of you would have heard of this during the time of COVID. There was lots and lots of talk about a cytokine storm, but too many of these will cause drowsiness and sleep problems that relate to your immune system. And then last but certainly not least, we have our, of course, reproductive hormones that are affected by sleep. And so sleep disturbances and lack of sleep, which are affecting our endocrine system, can be very linked to infertility. So sleep is very important for women who are trying to get pregnant. And I always want to make sure that women hear that so that they know it's no longer cool to say things like I used to say back in my days of lawyering, I can sleep when I'm dead, or things like that. It is crazy to me that I used to live my life like that because it is not good for your body. Now I want to turn to sleep's effect on muscle development because I love thinking about how sleep can affect us from a muscle development standpoint. And then I want to make sure I take some time to get into all of my fun biohacks and supplements with you that help me with my sleep. So when we strength train, so I want you to picture, I've just got done, here I'm rolling up the sleeves of my pajamas for you, just to like drive home the point. So let's say I'm strength training and I'm really like struggling. I'm working on Discover Strength. I've gotten tons of reps. I've done 12 reps, 13 reps, and I can't get any more. And I'm going to full failure. And at some point, it's like, I can't do any more. What's actually happening to my body when that happens? Well, what's happening is I'm creating all this damage. It's good damage, but it's damage in the muscle tissue. So I'm really tearing apart the muscle tissue so that it can be rebuilt and the muscles can be built. So you're strength training, damaging the tissue. And what happens while you're sleeping then, because this is really when the repair and the regeneration and the building of the muscle takes place, chemicals are flooding the body for repair. So this is all happening while you sleep. And then the muscles recover, they get inflamed, okay? So this is one of the times I would say you have good inflammation in your body, is we have good inflammation in our body when we are recovering our muscles from exercise. So they become inflamed. So we're actually releasing human growth hormone when we sleep that's only going to help us to build those muscles stronger. So I always say, you're actually not building muscle when you're at the gym strength training. You're building muscle when you're sleeping after you did your insane workout. So for example, I had a really, really, really good lift yesterday. I slept 8.5 hours last night, okay? I felt amazing sleeping that much. And sometimes if I don't get enough sleep, if I only have a 6 or 7 hour night, I will figure out a way to carve a nap into my day where I can sleep for an hour to make sure I'm really building that lean muscle tissue so that I'm actually maximizing my time in the gym. I had a really good sprint workout this morning and I did a little bit of lift in with my sprints. And so I felt fatigued after that. I felt really good. And I was able to take an hour nap today because my body needed it, even though I got quality sleep last night. So just remember, sleep is your friend. Sleep is going to make you fitter. Sleep is going to make your muscles grow bigger and stronger. And all of that will help you tremendously. Now I want to talk briefly about the stages of sleep, okay? And this is also something that I learned from Why We Sleep. So I just want to give you a brief overview of this because I think it's so important to understand what's actually happening while we sleep. So we have 5 different stages of sleep. Stage 1 and stage 2 are both considered light sleep. And if you wear an Oura ring, you can see the difference between when you have light sleep, when you have deep sleep, and when you have REM sleep. So stages 1 and 2 are both light sleep stages. Stage 3 is a deep sleep stage. Stage 4 is another deep sleep stage, and stage 5 is a REM sleep stage. I'm not quite sure why they break up light into 2 stages and deep into 2 stages, but here we are. Now, you typically will cycle through those stages about 90 minutes to go through each cycle, meaning it'll be about 90 minutes or so to do a cycle of light, deep REM. And then you'll do another light, deep REM, and you'll go through those throughout the night. And again, if you wear an Oura ring, you can really see this stuff, and it's really fun to actually see the data. So let's talk about what the difference is between light sleep, between deep sleep, and between REM sleep. And then when I show you my supplements and other biohacking tools that I have here, you're going to understand why I use these because each of them is helping with one of the different categories. So for light sleep, this is the category of sleep that really initiates our sleep cycle. I want you to think of this as your intro to sleep. It acts as a transition to your deeper sleep stages. Your muscles begin to relax. This is the stage that you're in sometimes if you're like asleep and all of a sudden your muscles jerk, like you feel like you're falling off a cliff or something. You're typically in a light stage of sleep when that happens. In this stage, your heart rate slows down, your breathing slows down, your body temperature drops, sleep begins, and it's also you're able to wake up easily during this stage. So notice I said that your body temperature drops. And I want to just pause on that for a moment because this is one of the coolest fun facts that I learned in the book. Our body temperature needs to go down 2 to 4 degrees for us to fall asleep and stay asleep. So I'm kind of a penguin. I'm just going to be really honest. I like my house very cold. I like my bedroom very cold and dark. It's one of the reasons I sleep so well. So I keep my home in the summer. I keep the air conditioning so that it's at 69 degrees during the day. Some people think that's too cold. Like I said, I'm a penguin. But before I go to bed at night, I turn the thermostat down to 65 because I'm a penguin. So I have the room at 65 at night. I turn my whole house down to 65 at night. I say my parents are worse, you guys. They have theirs at like 60. And because I'm originally from Minnesota, in the winter, we all sleep with our windows cracked open, even when it's below 0 degrees outside. It's very funny. So in any event, I do 69 during the day and 65 at night. And one of the things that I've learned is if I take either a hot bath before bed or a sauna before bed or a hot shower before bed, it's excellent for your sleep because heating your body up before bed means that your body has to naturally start undergoing these cooling mechanisms. And so those cooling mechanisms help to bring that body temperature down 2 to 4 degrees. So your body starts to cool down, and just keeps cooling down, and then you go to sleep. And that's what really helps with sleep. So it's much better for you to heat your body up before bed than to cool it off before bed. Because if you cool your body off too much, let's say you decide to do a cold plunge before bed. I have no idea why you do that, but you wanted to try it. You're going to get in a process where your body is now going to start to heat up. And then you're going to do exactly the opposite of what your body needs to do at night before bed. So I really recommend heat before bed, not cooling off your body too much. Okay. Moving away from the light sleep, what about the deep sleep stage? Now, this is my favorite stage of sleep because it is the most rejuvenating and restorative sleep stage. And I want you to think of deep sleep as sleep for your body. This stage of sleep promotes the muscle growth and repair that I was talking about. So blood flow is going to increase to your muscles. And it's really where we start to build those muscles, which is why it's so important to get deep sleep. It's difficult to wake up in this stage. You're going to feel disoriented and groggy in this stage. Your blood pressure is going to drop during the stage. Your HGH, meaning your human growth hormone, and other repair hormones are released. You're going to have tissue growth and cell repair that's going to occur. You're going to have long, slow brain waves. And in this stage of sleep also, it's when your brain flushes out waste. Okay, so that's deep sleep. Very, very important stage of sleep. Feel free to rewind this podcast and learn more about that. But I want you to put in your brain that deep sleep is sleep for the body. And now I'm going to talk to you about REM sleep, and REM sleep is sleep for the brain or sleep for your mind. Okay. And I'm going to give you some recommendations after about how you can get more sleep in these categories. But let's talk about the benefits of REM sleep, because this is equally as important as deep. REM sleep is essential for re-energizing your mind. So again, I want you to think of it as sleep for your mind or sleep for your brain. So the REM, which stands for rapid eye movement, this is where we dream. It's where we consolidate our memories. It's where we help our brains re-energize so that we can learn and problem solve. And one of my favorite ways to think about this, and I'm going to totally date myself here, and I'm fine with that, is for anyone who is around my vintage and remembers that when we grew up, we had the library in elementary school, in middle school, maybe in high school for some of us. And we had a card catalog where you would actually pull the drawers out and it would have the little index cards and it would tell you where the book is in the library, and then you'd go find it, okay? Yes, kids, this was the thing that we had. It's called a card catalog. You've never even seen this. You can maybe Google it. Maybe there's pictures on the internet of it, but these haven't been around for a very long time. So in any event, the card catalog system is what I think about as your brain doing at night when you're in REM sleep. It's literally like, okay, this memory here, this is what she ate, this is who she talked to, she read this book, she talked to this person. And it's literally filing it away in your brain where you need to consolidate your memories so that you can bank all of those memories in your card catalog of your brain. And that's why I always think about REM sleep. And I feel like it's a really good way to remember what REM sleep is doing and what's happening while you're in REM sleep. One of the statistics that I do not with REM sleep is that it typically decreases with age. Although I will say to you guys, last night I had 2.5 hours of REM sleep and over an hour and a half of deep sleep. The night before I had almost 2.5 hours of REM sleep. So one of my particular supplements here that I'm obsessed with for REM sleep, I will share with you in a moment. Okay. Also during REM sleep, your respiration increases and your heart rate increases. So we talked before about how those were going down. I believe it was in the light sleep stage, maybe even in deep sleep. But your respiration is increasing and your heart rate is increasing into REM sleep. So remember, we have these cycles. You're doing about 90 minutes where you're going through different cycles. Your temperature regulation is switched off during REM sleep, which is fascinating to me. So your brain activity is extremely high during this stage. This is when you could have very vivid dreams. And also your body is immobilized. And this is because you don't want to act out your dreams. If you're having a dream that you're driving a car, thank God your body is immobilized so you don't walk out and start driving your car, aka Tiger Woods on Ambien style, okay? We don't want to cause any of that sort of drama. So your brain, or your body rather, is immobilized when you're having these vivid dreams, which I just also think is completely fascinating. And so it's also, you can understand why each of these stages of sleep is so important. Your blood flow, I found this fascinating. Blood flow increases to your genitals during this stage of sleep. So for anyone who's ever had a sex dream, this would be the stage of sleep that you're in when that would happen to you. You would be in a REM sleep state, not a deep sleep state when that would happen. So I already gave you some of the amount of time that I spend in each of these stages of sleep, but I really, really get happy when I've got 2.5 hours or more of REM sleep. But if I have over 2 hours, I'm happy. If I get 1.5 hours to 2 hours of deep sleep, I'm thrilled. I noticed for me when I entered perimenopause, both my REM sleep and my deep sleep started to decline. So again, like I said, I'll share with you in a moment exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to put a chart up here about what these sleep cycles look like. And I actually pulled this chart specifically from Aura Ring. And so what you'll see when you look at this chart is when you fall asleep, the first thing that happens is you do go into a little bit of REM sleep, and then you go into a little bit of light sleep, and then you have this period of deep sleep. And then you come back up into REM, up into light, up into REM, down into light, back down into deep. But what you'll notice about this chart is you get more deep sleep in the beginning of the night and more REM sleep in the later part of the night. Okay, so I tell this to clients all the time. I would love for you to be in bed by, like, in a perfect world, I'd say 9:30. I know that's not realistic for many people, but let's call it 10. You're going to get way more deep sleep between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And then you're going to get more REM sleep between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Okay. So this is why if you go to bed too late, if you stay up till midnight, if heaven forbid you stay up till 1 a.m, you're really, really, really screwing yourself in the fat loss and muscle gain category because so much of that muscle gain happens during deep sleep. We really want to maximize as much deep sleep as we can get during that first part of the night. So I'll give you an example of last night, just because I mentioned to you that I already had an amazing night of sleep last night. In fact, the last 2 nights were pretty wonderful. So last night, I put myself in bed by 9:27, okay? I'm a loser. It's fine. And I also let myself sleep until 6:35 because I did not do my sprint workout until 7 a.m. So that means between 9:27 and 6:35 a.m., I got 8 hours and 13 minutes of sleep. In that, I had an hour and 34 minutes of deep sleep, and most of it happened, in fact, all of it happened, you guys, between about 9:45 and 2:15 in the morning. I did not get a minute of deep sleep after 2:15 in the morning. And all of my REM, which was 2 hours, over 2 hours, I had 2 hours and 8 minutes, it looks like. I think the night before it was more. So I had 2 hours and 8 minutes of REM that happened between about 12:30 at night and 5:30 in the morning. So as you can see, exactly classic with what I told you, we're going to get most of our deep sleep in the beginning part of the night and most of our REM sleep in the later part of the night. And that's why if you can have your body in bed at least between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., 10 p.m. and 4:30 a.m., 9:30 p.m. and 5 a.m., amazing. Obviously, I want more than that because I want you to get 8 or 9 hours of sleep. But if you're working on just 7, that's fine. Okay, so I feel like that was a really, really good scenario or summary rather of what you need to get in terms of why you need to get light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep and the importance of each of those categories. And before I share with you the supplements and other hacks I have, because I do have a number of them I want to share, I want to talk just briefly about how sleep relates to fat loss, okay? And this may be intuitive based on what I've already told you, but the short version is that I would say sleep deprivation impacts our lifestyles, eating habits, and decision-making. Remember, if we are sleep deprived, leptin goes down, that tells us we're full, and ghrelin goes up, that tells us we're hungry. We're going to eat more. We're going to be craving more food. We're going to be craving more carbs. We're not going to be as likely to work out. Physical activity and athletic performance suffer when we haven't slept, so then we're less likely to work out. So that's what we're doing now, guys. We're eating more, and we're not working out as much. It is just a fat train to weight gain. It's a fast train to weight gain, rather. That was a little bit of a Freudian slip. A fast train to weight gain, okay? It's also going to take you longer to recover from exercise if you haven't slept. So your workout duration, your efficacy are diminished because you have a decrease in muscle strength. You've got worse respiration rate and time to exhaustion. And then it's going to have a detrimental effect on your hormones and your signaling pathways. And so I mean it when I say, and there's research to support this, people who sleep less than 7 hours a night tend to have a higher caloric intake during the day, especially from carbs. This isn't rocket science. This is our biology. We are animals. We're animals in the wild. It also decreases our impulse control and attention, and it increases our insulin resistance. You guys, the last thing I want is for you to become insulin resistant. I want you more insulin sensitive, not insulin resistant. And so I really, really want you to think about how important sleep is in your fat loss efforts. You also are going to want to think about quality sleep over quantity. I don't want you sleeping 11 hours when all of it is light sleep. I really want you to focus on how you're going to get quality sleep. But hopefully all of those, that information that I gave you is going to be helpful in terms of thinking about your sleep. So what are some of our sleep disruptors and what are some of these tools and biohacks that I brought for you? Well, the number one, as you can see me wearing, is my Bond Charge blue light blocking glasses. So here's my little case that they go in. I bring these everywhere when I travel. I love these so much. And these I recommend to everyone. I actually think mine are very cute. I have the Maverick style. I will put a link below this video. You can always use my discount code, I believe it's golden, for these to get a discount on their website. I also, if I'm going to read in bed at night, which I do, I don't have the TV on. If I do have the TV on a rare occasion, because Ketch is begging me to watch TV, for example, this is my 5-year-old golden retriever who loves television. I will have a TV on once in a while, but I'm never going to do it without these on. But then if I'm reading, I'm using this amber light, okay? So this would be the only light that I would use by my bed. It's got a clip for my book, so I can put this on my book. I found this on Amazon. I will put a link for this below the video. But it's a very easy 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's got 3 different levels. Then you just turn it off. And there's a little USB-C that you can plug it into to charge it. So I bring this when I travel. I use this on the plane. It's very easy. It just fits in your purse, or you can take it with you in your bag. Okay, So those are a couple things in terms of light. And then another thing, which I am obsessed with, I wear this every night in bed. Okay. You guys, this is the Nod Pod. And I will put a link below for this. I don't think I have a discount code for you on this, but regardless, I use this, so I want to tell you about it. So I want to say one side is cool and one side is warm. Okay. Which is kind of nice. Of course, I always use the cool side because I'm a penguin, but I would have my glasses off, of course, but I'm not going to have them off because it's below after sundown and I have lights here. So I put this on when I fall asleep and it blocks out everything and I love it. It's literally weighted. So it's a weighted blanket for your eyes. I bring this when I travel. I always have this in hotel rooms because in hotel rooms, there's always some sort of annoying blue light and I can't stand it. And I hate the way it makes me feel. So I bring this with me always when I travel. The Nod Pod is another one. So I'd say the Bond Charge blue light blocking glasses, the amber light, and the Nod Pod are the three of my most important things in terms of light. But then I also want to share with you other things that I do to optimize my sleep, and then we'll get into the supplement. So separate from all of this light stuff I've been using, another biohacking thing that I do is that I mouth tape. And I love this mouth tape so much. I found this on Amazon. I have no affiliation with these people. I'll put a link below, but this is what I do literally every night. And this piece, you guys, I just stick on my nightstand. I can use this for like 3 nights in a row. I bought like a 15 pack of this tape. It was so inexpensive. It's like a medical grade adhesive tape. So I'll just, like I said, put a link below. But the reason that I decided to mouth tape every night, and you may not know this, but it is really good for you in terms of your sleep. So I read a book by James Nestor called Breath several years ago. And after I read the book, I was like, that's it. I'm mouth taping every single night. And I tell everyone, if you are like freaked out about the idea of mouth taping, you're probably a mouth breather. So without going into the whole story of what James Nestor's book was about, he and a buddy were monitored they did this experiment with Stanford doctors, and the whole experiment was intended to last 30 days. And they said, what would happen if we put silicone plugs up our nose and we became strictly mouth breathers for the next 30 days? And you could read the book, but to spoil alert it for you, they had to cancel the experiment after 10 days because their health markers went in the toilet so fast from just becoming mouth breathers that they couldn't believe it. So that means their heart rate variability plummeted, their heart rate increased, their blood pressure increased, they barely slept, they got tons of brain fog. Every single health marker that the doctors were tracking for them got worse. And so they said, we're not going to make you do this for 30 days. You can stop it at 10. They stopped the experiment. And I want to say it was either within 24 or 48 hours, all of their health markers came back. And they just talked about in the book, all of the science of what happens when we breathe through our nose, how air that comes through our nose is designed to be heated coming through our nasal cavity. It's designed to be cleaned. There's like 4 main things, and I'd have to go back to the book to remember my notes on this. But the point is, mouth breathing is terrible for your sleep. So you really want to breathe through your nose. So I mouth tape every night to just make sure that I do that. And this is super easy to bring with me in every sort of bag when I'm traveling. I just put it in my toothpaste and my floss, and then I always have it with me. Okay, so I also mouth tape, and that is from the book James Nestor, Breath. And we'll put a link below to all of those things so that you have those links as well. Now I want to get into the supplements for you because I really feel like this is some of the fun stuff. I have been able to optimize my sleep so well by experimenting on my body for tons of years. So the number one thing I would say for when I hit perimenopause, and women, you will understand this is my prescription. I take just 100 milligrams every single night. It's this tiny, tiny little pill of progesterone. Okay, and I have a doctor's prescription from this. I had all my levels tested. Progesterone really, really helps in perimenopause, especially if you're experiencing any amount of anxiety, any amount of sleeplessness, any amount of feeling like just worrisome for no reason. Progesterone plummets when we go into perimenopause, and most women start to realize that this is the time of life where they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, progesterone, that I took you for granted. And so progesterone is just a key hormone that we need to get to sleep and fall asleep really well. Some people call progesterone their sleeping pill because it can be so beneficial. There are women I know that take as much as 300 or 400 milligrams per night. I don't need that much. I found that I get some other symptoms when I take that much. So 100 milligrams works just perfectly for me. Okay. The other thing is to increase my REM sleep. And I read about this first. I think this was something reported on potentially by Dr. Andrew Huberman, but it may have been that Dr. Walker talked about this in the Why We Sleep book already. And that is that I take a high quality magnesium threonate. Okay, so this is Mag L-threonate. This particular one is by Metagenics, but I also like the integrated therapeutics one, and there's plenty of other brands. So magnesium threonate is specifically designed to help to support REM sleep. Now, I shouldn't say that. It's not specifically designed to help. They've just discovered that in terms of all of the different kinds of magnesium, threonate, because of the way it crosses the blood-brain barrier, is more helpful for REM sleep than any of the other magnesiums. However, I do take other magnesium. So this morning, for example, I sprinted a ton. I got super sweaty. Yes, I've drank a ton of water today. Yes, I've had a lot of electrolytes. But when you sweat a lot, you are losing a ton of your electrolytes. So you're losing a lot of magnesium. So I put 1 scoop, and I'm going to do it right now because I'm getting ready for bed. So here's my water. I put a scoop, and I have lots of supplements that I do, a scoop of what's called ActiMag Plus. And this supplement has 400 milligrams of a very high quality magnesium in it. This is magnesium, I believe it's magnesium glycinate. So it's a mix of, let's see. Yeah, it's magnesium glycerophosphate. That's right. There are very few supplements that contain magnesium glycerophosphate. This is a higher quality magnesium than some of the others, like the citrates and the malates. All magnesium serve their own purpose, but I've just found for me for sleep, the combination of the glycerophosphate and the threonate is really good for helping me to get quality sleep. I also like that this has just an easy berry flavor, and so it's really good in water. So I put a scoop of this. The next thing I do is I always put a scoop of electrolytes because we need electrolytes to help our muscles repair and work and have all this electrical signaling going on while we're sleeping. So this particular one I'm very into right now before bed, mixing this berry flavor with the Redmond's Relight Kids grape. I love grape flavor, and grape is really good mixed with this. So I put these 2 things in. So those help with sleep. Another thing that I do is where's my other supplement that I'm looking for? Okay. I also take inositol. And I learned about inositol from Dr. James. I cannot remember how to pronounce his last name. I'm going to call it Nicolin D'Antonio. He does a lot of fun stuff on social media, but he every once in a while will put a very detailed Instagram live or a story or I end up saving this one, but it's all about how much inositol helps with getting glucose in our body into our muscle cells to help build muscle. And it also is very relaxing for you and helps with sleep. So this is my little half of a teaspoon measuring thing. I actually do a whole teaspoon in my water before bed. So I put inositol in with my water. So 1 teaspoon of inositol. I really like this Biotics, myo-inositol. And 1 teaspoon is, 1 teaspoon is a little bit less than 5 grams. So I actually do a half a teaspoon of this in my morning water, my first water in the morning. And then I do 1 whole teaspoon before bed. And then that gives me 5 grams per day. So I do 5 grams of inositol per day. And then I also do some gut support supplements. I do an L-glutamine powder. I just do a half a teaspoon of this. I do this in the morning and at night. So that goes into my water as well. I happen to use this IAG, which is a gut support supplement. I know you guys, I'm nutty. If you saw the amount of supplements I take, you'd be like, what is wrong with this woman? But I've done a lot of research and I know what works for my body. So I like it. Okay. So those are the things. Oh, I also take a little bit of L-carnitine, which helps with fat burning. Everything during perimenopause that helps with fat burning is my friend. So I do put a half a teaspoon of that in before bed as well. So now I have all of the powders. I once had a trainer who was training me. This was years ago at the Downtown Discover Strength. And he is such a funny guy. And he's a really big science nerd. And when I told him all of the things that were in my water in the morning when I walked into the gym, which included all of those things I just told you about and creatine and all sorts of other stuff, he's like, oh my God, you need to eat that with a spoon. How can you even drink that with all this stuff in it? Had in it was a very funny comment. And he's not wrong. Okay. So this only has about half water right now. So I'm going to fill it up because I'll still be up for a little bit before I go to bed tonight. And then to tell you about just a couple other supplements because I'm always experimenting on my body. I love melatonin. I used to be, I'd say, uneducated about this and not understand how good it is for your body. So melatonin, of course, is a hormone, but it's so good for your immune system. I started taking it around the time of COVID because there was a lot of research coming out about how good it is for you. If I'm traveling overseas, I take a lot of it. In fact, in my fridge, it's called Sandman. And I want to say it's by Dr. John Lawrence. He's basically considered the melatonin expert. He knows everything about melatonin. He takes hundreds of milligrams of melatonin per day. I do not take that much, but I do take 3 milligrams at night if I do this. This is a melatonin. I don't know if you can see that. This is a melatonin from Biotics mixed with B6. So I really like that supplement. Or I've been experimenting with a new one from Body Health called Sleep. And this one has in it 3 milligrams of melatonin. So whether I take 3 capsules of this, which is a serving, or 2 tablets of this, I'm getting 3 milligrams of melatonin at night. And so I take that with my progesterone, with my magnesium, and with my magnesium threonate. And that is a really, really good combo for me, you guys, before bed, along with other powders and potions that I have in my water. So I think those are all really fun tips, and I hope you find those helpful. I want to share just a few more with you because there are also a number of herbs that can help us sleep. And so I want to share what the herbs are with you. And then I just want to make sure that I round this out by talking about the ways that most people disrupt their sleep. I mean, obviously the smorgasbord of things that I do help support my sleep, but there's other things that you can be doing to make sure that you're getting the most quality sleep that I haven't even mentioned yet, that I'll just end this episode with. So before I do that, let me talk about the herbs. So herbs, there are a lot of different herbs that can really help us sleep, and they have different properties in the body. So you may get these in the form of a tea. You may do this in an essential oil. You may do this in a diffuser in your room. But the herbs are these. So chamomile is one, and that's a mild tranquilizer and sleep inducer. So that's going to help you get to sleep, okay? The same is true for an herb called valerian. So valerian root is a fantastic sleep aid. It has a sedative action. And then passion flower is another herb, and that can help improve restless sleep. So as I'm going through these, think about, is my issue that I can't fall asleep? Is that I'm restless? Is that I fall asleep and then I wake up? What is my actual issue? So restless sleep, passion flower can help with that. Lavender is going to help promote slow wave deep sleep. So we're going to get really good deep sleep with lavender. And sometimes I've had periods where to improve my deep sleep, I'll just do 1 drop or 2 of a lavender essential oil, and I will rub it on the bottom of my feet at night. And that can be very supportive for sleep. I just tell people with essential oils, especially with lavender and things like that, you really just don't want to overdo it, but you can get a really good benefit from using lavender at night. Okay, and then skullcap is another herb. You may not have heard of that one, but it acts as a nerve tonic and it calms the mind. So if you're a really racy mind person, you might consider getting some kind of an herb or essential oil that has skullcap in it. And then 2 more. One is called lemon balm, and that's going to reduce restlessness and promote a sense of calm. So again, lemon balm is going to reduce restlessness and promote a sense of calm. And then thops is the last one, and that's known for its sedative action, and it also increases GABA. And so I always like to remind people about GABA, the importance of GABA before sleep. So when whoever it is, reaches for wine to relax, there's a lot of people that will say, I need a glass of wine at the end of the night to unwind, or I need a glass of wine to help me sleep. That's actually not helping you sleep. But what you are seeking typically in the wine is that it's going to help your body produce GABA. And so GABA is this calming neurotransmitter. And so that's part of the reason that wine can have this calming effect. We think it's like, oh, the wine is actually calming me down and making me sleep. The problem is the wine is interfering with your sleep so much that you're not getting that quality deep or quality REM sleep that I talked about in this video. And so I really want you to consider cutting out the wine, practicing not having it for several nights in a row, and watch, especially if you have an Oura ring, just watch how much your sleep improves. It's very, very wild. It's pretty cool. Okay, so let me just finalize the episode by telling you about the top sleep disruptors, the biggest sleep disruptors. Some of these may not come as a surprise to you. Some it's like, oh my God, I didn't think about that, Kristin. That's really, really important. But I was kind of previewing this part of the episode by telling you about alcohol, because one of the number 1 sleep disruptors is alcohol. It really, really impacts your sleep. And if you don't believe me, I want you to consider getting an Oura ring and comparing your sleep on the nights where you have alcohol and the nights where you don't have alcohol. And you're going to be just amazed at the difference. Okay. Another one, which probably doesn't come as a surprise, is caffeine and energy drinks. So I always tell people, I mean, I don't drink caffeine anymore. I've had a love-hate relationship with caffeine most of my life, which is I love it when I'm drinking it and I hate it when I have to quit. And so it's just better that I'm off of it because my hormone function works a lot better when I don't drink caffeine. But caffeine and energy drinks, I always say try to not drink them ever past noon. But your latest cutoff for sure is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because it will disrupt your sleep otherwise. Other sleep disruptors is you're on your computer, phone, or your TV screens at night. So again, you have to get these blue light blocking glasses so that you're not disrupting your sleep. And just so you guys know why I make that recommendation, all of this stuff, the computer screen, the TV, the iPad, the phone, it's all emitting blue light. You've probably heard of this before. But the reason that matters for your sleep is that blue light is interfering with your body's production of the hormone melatonin. And melatonin is the hormone that we need to get to sleep and fall asleep. So if you want to have your melatonin production be good, I mean, I also take it before bed, of course, but if you want to naturally have a good melatonin production, which I do, and I take more to support me, you really, really want to be in these orange glasses in the evening. Okay. Another sleep disruptor, which many people are surprised by, is if you don't get any natural light during the day. I can't get over how many people hire me who literally go from waking up in the morning to straight in front of their computer to working all day and back to their bed at night. They don't spend any time outside. They don't walk in nature. They don't get sunlight in their eyes. You guys, we are biological beings. We are creatures who have a circadian rhythm with the earth. Our eyes need to see the sun during the day to register what time of day is it. So if your brain can be like, okay, it's 1 o'clock. I must start producing melatonin in a few hours when it gets closer to sundown to help her get to sleep. If you're sitting in blue light all day, if you're never getting natural sunlight during the day, you would never, ever have these signals going into your body, which we need for a natural circadian rhythm. So natural sunlight during the day is so important for your sleep. I get a ton of it because just be like me and buy 3 golden retrievers, and then you'll have to get a lot of sunlight during the day because they need a lot of walks. Speaking of walks, the next biggest sleep disruptor is if you don't get any exercise or other movement. If you aren't earning your sleep, you're not going to have good sleep. I just said this to a client a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, okay, I've never heard it put that way. I have to earn my sleep by actually moving my body enough during the day, not being so sedentary, so that my body actually is ready for sleep because I'm tired, because I moved my body enough during the day that I was active enough so that I actually earned my sleep. We need to earn our sleep. Also, a sleep disruptor, eating late at night. I know people hate to hear this, you guys, but I really love setting my fasting timer. I use the Zero Longevity fasting app. And where did I just set my phone down? So I can double check that for you. Yes. Okay. So I have the Zero fasting app, and I love using it because when I get done eating my dinner, I then make sure I set my fasting timer so that I know how many hours it's been before I can eat the next day. And when I say before I can eat the next day, it's because I'm always intentionally intermittent fasting for at least 13 hours, sometimes 14, 15, 16. Sometimes I don't eat for 17 or 18 hours. But I really want to make sure that I'm at least going for 13 hours. And so because I stopped eating tonight at 6:17, and yes, it's getting a little late for me here, I've already been not eating for over 3 hours. So now I'll go to bed and I'll be at a 13-hour fast right when I get back from the gym in the morning, and I can eat breakfast if I choose to. So I really recommend that you stop eating at 6 or 7. The latest possible time that I'd want you to eat is 8 o'clock at night. But again, because I really want you in bed by like 9:30 or 10, really no later than 8. And if you could stop eating around 6, 6:30 or 7, that's much better. Okay, 3 more of the sleep disruptors, then I will let you go for this episode. Stress is another sleep disruptor. This probably doesn't come as a surprise to those of you who don't have your stress management practices under control, because you know that when you lay down your head at night, you are just racy thoughts. It's all of the doom and gloom. It's, did I get these things done today? What do I have to do tomorrow? So stress is a big one. And so I really recommend that you consider meditating before bed, that you engage in breath work practices. I do meditation before bed every single night. I usually fall asleep to some sort of meditation, and it really, really makes me have quality sleep where I'm really working on my own vibration and my energy while I'm sleeping. And then 2 more. One is dehydration. This is one that surprises so many people. This is why I drink one of these. And yes, do I have to usually get up and pee during the night? Yes, I usually have to get up 1 time, but I would rather be very hydrated when I'm sleeping so that I can get really good sleep, because if you are dehydrated, you are not going to sleep as well. Alcohol is a contributor to dehydration. So now you've had alcohol, which interrupts your sleep, and you're dehydrated, which interrupts your sleep. So it's a recipe for disaster. So do what you can to really minimize or eliminate the alcohol, and your sleep will get so much better. And then last, but certainly not least, in terms of the sleep disruptors, having a tremendous amount of inflammation in the body, and as a related one, being deficient in essential fatty acids. So I did talk about this on a prior episode. I'm going to grab this one again because I want to show you the bottle, because I love this particular fish oil so much. Okay, here it is. I don't know if you can see that because of the light, but it's called Optimal EFAs BC by Biotics Research. I take 4 of these capsules per day. I take 2 with one meal and 2 with another. But especially if you were a child of the 80s, chances are that you have some amount of fatty acid deficiency, because we were so raised with this programming of fat-free and fat is bad. And we went years deficient in fatty acids. And fish oil, especially for women at the perimenopause, menopause time of life, is very, very, very important critical nutrient for lots of different processes in the body. So a fatty acid deficiency can actually interrupt your sleep. And so this is why I make sure that I get my fatty acids. I take my optimal EFAs. I will make sure, you guys, for a lot of these supplements, just so that it's easier for you, I have a full script account. So you can just order supplements. You get a discount from me ordering through full script. You can do it that way. You can get them through any other provider that you have. But I don't recommend that you buy supplements on Amazon because you don't know exactly what you're getting. And the only way to get pharmaceutical grade supplements, high quality, is through a provider like Full Script. So I'll put a link below. You can check that out. I hope that you found this episode interesting. I hope that you learned a ton about sleep. I hope that you learned that you know something now about why REM and deep sleep are so important, that you can try any of these tools that I've recommended for you. And I promise to be back with more and interesting information on a future episode. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you being part of the Energetically Efficient Show community. And if you liked this episode, please leave me a comment down below and tell me what you liked about it. If there's something you learned, share the episode. I just love getting this information out to more humans. So thank you very much. I love you. I appreciate you. Good night.